So I apologize. I've been out of the loop what's been going on at USAFA, doing surgery recovery, and lots of other things been going on in my case, so wasn't really paying attention to a lot of the recognition stuff until this morning. One, I think I need to be a little bit transparent. The reason why you've been having focus groups and things at the Air Force Academy is I'm a part contributor to that. I really do believe in holding leadership accountable, figuring out what's really going on at the Air Force Academy, and I believe the Secretary of the Air Force needs to know what's actually going on. So for you that were part of those focus groups and everything else, I'm very well aware of what you've been doing. However, I think there's been a massive miscommunication between the cadet wing, the Secretary of the Air Force's office, and permanent party, so we're going to discuss those things. Let's address the myth that Congress is mandating that we make recognition week. That is not true. Congress, never mind any of your representatives in Colorado or any of your respective states, give a fuck about what's going on at the Air Force Academy now. I'm working on that. I'm trying to get more accountability, but for the most part, there is no mandate that Congress is forcing the cadet wing to lose our traditions at USAFA and get rid of everything hard and make it worse so that the underclassmen don't have the same experiences as the rest of the grad community. That is not true, and if you're hearing that from permanent party, it's a fucking lie. Second problem we're going to discuss is the cadets, okay? There are some cadets that are doing the right thing. I know for a fact there was a prior enlisted guy who was so calm, he's one of the cadets there, who I was even told should be the next superintendent or commandant of the Air Force Academy because he gets it. He forced himself to go to those focus groups because he really cares and understands training, because not only did he work on the special operations side on active duty, knows how things really happen, like myself or any other grad who has actually worked in a deployed environment, but he understands what real training is. And real training is not fucking hazing. You can be demanding without being demeaning, okay? In any selection process, whether that's AFSOCs, Special Forces, SEALs, or any of those things, people are not demeaned and made to feel less during those training cycles or those iterations. They are made to push the limits of themselves, find out they can do more than they were ever capable of, and at the same time work together as a team collectively because you are a team in the uniform that you wear. But this type of environment has not gone away even since I was a cadet. There are some of you, some cadets, especially upperclassmen, who just want to beat cadets. They want to actually haze people, lock them in a room, turn on the heat lamps, because that's what was done to you. That's not correct training. That is not the way to do things. And even when I was a cadet, that was a problem. You had like the 5 cadets who are complete douchebags doing that stuff. And that is not the right way to do things. You're going to cause injuries. You're going to cause division between the classes. And you're going to create a lot of animosity. And if you're one of those cadets and you're trying to be an officer, you need to change your fucking attitude and the way you approach things, because that is not the correct way to do things. And if you can't do that, then maybe you should leave the Air Force Academy and maybe you should go find another job. And this is from direct feedback, because I've read the reports and I know the people doing these things, okay? The upper class wants to do things harder. They don't believe they're living up to traditions. But then here's the interesting perspective of the lower class and the freshmen, which I actually completely agree with. They are being demeaned, all right? You're weak. You're not good enough. You're not having it as hard as we did, so we think less of you. Is that how you're going to treat your senior airmen and your A1Cs when you get on active duty because they didn't have the same academy experience as you, that you have every right to treat them like shit? No. And if you're one of those cadets, change your fucking attitude and stop doing that, because it's not cool. That's not the way we do things on active duty, and that's not the way things work in the operational military, okay? And yes, 80 to 90% of the military is support. So when you actually get into your active units, not everyone's fucking John Wick and jumping out of helicopters and planes and doing cool guy shit. For the most part, it's the guy cleaning your shitters on your KC-135s. It's driving the vehicles. It's doing the maintenance. And you need to treat everybody with respect and have firm confidence in your ability to command and having the courage to command and doing it correctly. So on top of responsibility between not only the miscommunication about Congress and cadets that are making the situation worse, I'm going to put the rest of this on permanent party and the leadership, and especially General Marks. General Marks, I'm going to say what everyone needs to say to you, because apparently you don't listen to anybody. You need to pull your head out of your ass and be present. Put your uniform on. You're the commandant. Get out there with your cadets, because they care that you show face, and they care that you're there doing your job. And if you're going to take a back seat to developing these officers in the most important developmental cycles of their leadership, learning, laboratory experience, then maybe you shouldn't be doing this job. And I mean that with all due respect, but someone's got to say it, and I'm just going to be the guy to do it because no one else is doing it. You need to have the courage to command. You need to go out there and stop being a failure to the men and women, the young men and women that look up to you every day. Go look on your own Yodel pages, dude. Everyone's like, where are you? This is like, where's Waldo with a one-star general officer? And at the end of the day, the default excuse of, well, Congress says we can't do this, and we don't communicate between AD and DF, and we're having cadets crazy schedules, between trying to show up for class and getting on the cadet playing field for intramurals or whatever else, and miscommunicating all of these things, and then making cadets resent each other, is not the appropriate way to do things. You need to be a leader. You need to get out there and do the right thing. And if no one else is going to tell you to do it, then I'll do it. You can come to my house, we'll have a cup of coffee and discuss these things. But we are in a state of perpetual war right now with 3 different major conflicts going on overseas. And we cannot be graduating lieutenants that cannot make decisions. And when things get hard, they just hide. Okay, we just can't do that. And I respect your experience and all the things you got on your chest and whatever else. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Because when you get out of the military and you're walking down the street and a homeless guy asks you at a cadet 4th class for $1, he only cares about your kindness, how you treat them, and if you're present in the moment. It doesn't matter what your rank is. Or if you're trying to secure a 6-figure job like General Clark is when he gets out going for his football conference championship selection committee or whatever, just like General Gould did, right? And we'll address that. And this goes to the superintendent as well, General Clark, and I know you don't like me either, but here we are. We're having this discussion because that focus group talks directly to me sometimes, okay? This is how it is. You need to be absolutely transparent about your intent to leadership and stop half-assing things. Stop saying everything applies, oh, well, when you get on active duty, this is how it is. And when you get out to your real operational unit, this is how it is. I had that perspective too when I was a cadet, that this isn't the real Air Force. Bullshit. The Air Force Academy is the real Air Force. You're on active duty, you have a CAT card, and these cadets need to be learning how to do things now, not figure it out when they get to their unit. Now. Because when they show up to their new unit, then they have this aura about them that they're a bunch of douchebag academy grads and no one wants to pay attention to them because they don't understand leadership from its most fundamental premise. And that is you have to be present. And then you have to explain why you're doing things and lead by example. And I'm not saying you're not doing those things. I'm sure there are a few exceptions to that. But enough is enough. I mean, I know you're getting ready to retire. I know you're ready to get out. And everyone's just trying to hide responsibility because nobody wants to take accountability because no one wants to get in trouble for another rape or a suicide or some other crazy shit that happens at the academy where you start getting IG investigations at the Air Force Academy again. But you want to know what? I'll keep making phone calls if that stuff keeps happening because we need to fix our Air Force Academy, okay? We need to make it better. And just because you're there and pushing diversity, equity, and inclusion as a primary thing over actual leadership and teaching these cadets how to be demanding and not demeaning, how to have the courage to command, and how that we can still have exercises to muscle failure and we can still do things and make them hard, but do it together as a team to make sure that we represent the legacies of the classes that have come before us in the long blue line, because that is what is important. That is very, very important. The academies mean something, and we need our military academies, Air Force, West Point, Annapolis, Merchant Marine, Coast Guard, you name it. But we can't make the system worse by allowing weaker leadership and weaker leadership initiatives to be graduating from these institutions because our current leaders, our AOCs, commandants, superintendents, deans, whatever, are too afraid to make decisions because it makes them look bad. Make the hard decisions, do the right thing, have a tough recognition. Get out there and start low crawling with your cadets. I mean, when General Moga first showed up, he was out there low crawling in the trenches with his guys, and that was great. And then his attitude changed later on, right? Because they were getting too much scrutiny. Just do the right thing. It's not that hard. Have some integrity, right? If I can do this and I'm still fighting a legal case against you guys after 14 years and going on podcasts talking about changing the Air Force Academy, and I don't care what people say about me because I know I'm doing the right thing, then you could do the same thing as a 3-star general. And if not, I'm sure we can find some other people that want to take your job. So at the end of the day, cadets, this is on you. Get out there, treat your freshmen with respect, make it difficult, make it hard. Don't be worried about training violations if you're not doing anything illegal. Give them the experience they deserve. Take responsibility and make sure your permanent party, who you will be working with in the future as lieutenants, even though they're lieutenant colonels or whatever, hold them accountable as well. Together we are a team, and that's how it needs to be. Make the Air Force Academy great again. Hold the standard, hold the line, hold the traditions. Dark Saber out.